yesterday I went on the internet to sign up for the Beantown Marathon, which is what I'm training for. And let's cut to the chase. I was shocked and horrified to find that the race has already been sold out. It sold out back in early June. Where have I been? I've gone on that website several times over that time to look up how much it costs, to figure out what the dates are. Somehow I totally whiffed. And that's a whole month before the Vermont 100 even happened. So I've just been way, way off. The consequence for this is that I am out of options for getting a qualifier under my belt for Boston for next year. So I mentioned in a previous video that I did this race, the Beantown Marathon, last year. And the way that the qualifying window works for Boston, you have to run a race at a fast enough pace during the course of a year. And it has to be a race that you're going to do, the year before the Boston Marathon that you're going to do. So for this year's Boston Marathon 2025, I ran in 2024. I actually ran 5 marathons, and 4 of those I ran fast enough to qualify for Boston. One of them obviously was faster than the other ones, and it was faster by quite a bit. It was 3:06, so that was plenty of time. My qualifying time, official qualifying time for my age group for Boston, meant that I need to be under 3 hours and 20 minutes. But the way Boston works is that they have a field size limit because the towns don't want more than a certain number of people running through the towns. And so, the running world getting more and more competitive the way that it is every year. That means that more and more people apply. And so they start with the fastest time, and then the next fast, the next fast, the next fast, until they get to the allotted total number of people. And what that means is that because there are more and more people getting faster and faster, that the qualifying time isn't enough. So 3:20 wasn't enough. Last year it ended up being, the cutoff ended up being 6 minutes faster than the time that was posted for that you had to beat in order to submit. So for me, for a 3:20, that meant you had to run at least a 3:14. Well, the other thing about this is that I mentioned that you have to run it during the year before. The strange fact of the way this works is that there's actually 1 week that overlaps years. I don't know why they do this, but it's not like it's, September 5th to September 5th to September 5th every year. It's not exactly 365 days when you run your race that qualifies you. It's actually September 5th to September 12th or something. It's there's a whole week overlap. I'm making those dates up, but it's around the beginning of September anyway. So there's 1 week, there's this magic week that if you run a race during that week, you actually qualify yourself for 2 years. That week happens to contain the Beantown Marathon. It's one of the reasons why the Beantown Marathon exists at all, is because it's the last chance for the year, but it also qualifies you for 2 years. And so last year when I ran it, I qualified, and I qualified in that race by 6.5 minutes. So I had about a 3:13 and a half, 3 hours, 13 minutes, 30 seconds result on that race. And because you needed to actually be 6 minutes faster than the 3:20, that means I'm faster by 30 seconds. So if that time holds up, if it's still, so hang on, back up a sec. Because it was 6 minutes faster for everybody last year, they actually moved the qualifying times up by 5 minutes for this year. So for my age group, last year was 3:20. Now it's 3:15 that you need to run this year. As I just said, the world is getting faster and faster. So who knows how much faster it'll be this year. I have not gone back and looked to see how much faster it gets year to year over the last, 5-10 years. I have not checked that. I don't really want to know, frankly. The point of all this is that I am technically qualified, so I can apply, and I will apply in the beginning of September. But I wanted to have more insurance than that. I wanted to run another race, and it was going to be the Beantown race because it's nearby to my house. It's fast. A lot of fast people run it. There's a pro that ran it last year, Jackie Gone, who it's an interesting course because it's 6 laps of the same loop. And I got my doors blown off by a bunch of pros, and she was one of them. Like 5 laps into it or 4 laps into it, they lapped me. And I was absolutely blown away by how fast they go. It was like, I'm not slow. Like 3:13 isn't slow. And they just like I was standing still. It was crazy. And so I wanted to kind of get that experience again. And also I just wanted to get a better qualifying time. And it's sold out and I can't. And so I spent a little while using ChatGPT, who is not very good at this kind of task. So I had an argument with ChatGPT and trying to find another race that's around, it's not on the other side of the country because I'm unemployed. I'm not going to go get on an airplane last minute and pay, hundreds of dollars to go and for airfare and then another couple $100 for hotel and then, the registration fee and all, there end up being like $1,000 out of my pocket for a thing that I'm not even like that certain that I'm going to blow the doors off of any time that I already have the 13-minute, 30-second time because I've been training for Vermont. I haven't been training for a marathon until the last couple of weeks. And the one thing about the Beantown Marathon is the very last weekend that you can do it for the qualifying window before it closes for the year. And so that was going to give me, a reasonable number of weeks of VO2 max work to get me fast enough. And that didn't happen. And so Beantown's not available to me, and ChatGPT looked for marathons for me. Long story short, I found a few out west, and there were 2 in like New York State that I could have driven to, that might have worked out, but they were a short time. There would have been 2 weeks less training, which would mean that I'm like almost already in the taper, and I really don't think that I'm going to run that fast a marathon right now. And also, they were more expensive, so I'd be wasting time and money. And so, long story short, I'm not going to do any more marathons this year for the qualifying window. I'm going to use that Beantown Marathon time from last year, and I'm going to hope for the best, and I'll be bummed. I will be bummed if I don't qualify because I was really just kind of expecting that I would qualify every single year. Considering I qualified in 4 of my 5 races last year, I figured I would just qualify every year and keep doing it. But because I've been unemployed this year, I have not run all of the marathons that I normally would. And also because I ran the Vermont, I was focused on that for a good chunk of the year, not on running fast marathons, and because my diabetes failed me so bad on the Boston Marathon this year, I didn't run that one anywhere near fast enough. I really thought that I was going to re-qualify for Boston, frankly, by running Boston this year. And that didn't happen, like I said, because of the bad diabetes day. So where am I going with all this? What I'm doing is I'm changing the title on these videos to ChatGPT training for my next 50-miler. Because the very same weekend as the Beantown Marathon is the TARC Fall Classic, which is a series of trail running ultra runs, ultra races, very inexpensive, right near my house, right here in the Boston area. The TARC people are the good people who put on the race that qualified for me for Vermont last year, which is called the Stonecat 50-miler. And they do a whole series of very inexpensive races. One of them is the TARC Fall Classic, and that has like a whole bunch of races. The only one I care about is the 50-miler. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to run a 50-miler in the same weekend that I was going to run the Beantown Marathon. So ChatGPT is saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You didn't why didn't you ever tell me, by the way, ChatGPT, that I wasn't going to be able to get in that race?" Anyway, I feel like a real assistant would have done that. That's like one of the things that the AI is not doing very well, is like thinking ahead like an actual person would. And they, Instead, it has set me up with a training plan. It wanted me to go long and slow. And I said, no, I want to go a little faster than that. So can you readjust this plan and give me some VO2 max work and some, strides and A skips and B skips and all that. And so it chucked that stuff in there. And so it has adjusted, and I did the intervals that I was talking about. I didn't really tell you anything about them, but I ran intervals today. I did 4 by 5 minutes at 10K pace with 90-second walk, jog in between, and 2-mile warm up and 2-mile warm down. It has me doing 60 to 70 miles per week for the next 2 weeks, I guess it is, and then we will be getting after it. And so this was a little bit longer video, but I wanted to describe and explain to you exactly what's going on, because I'm not running a marathon anymore. But just to put your mind at ease, because I know you're worried, I do have the cheap marathon, it's called, in Derry, New Hampshire, run by the Millennium Running Club, Millennium Running Organization, in, I believe it's March. That is a flat and fast marathon. That's where my personal PR is set right now, and I'm going to hope to beat that in March. So I will get back onto that. But because this TARC thing is really inexpensive, I mean, $25 instead of $158 I was going to spend on the Beantown I thought I was going to. So because I did that, I was also like, all right, why don't I do the TARC Winter Classic? So that's a 40-miler, I believe, in December. And I'm already going to do the Stone Cat again. So I've got the 50-miler that I just told you about, the Fall Classic, in early September. And then October, I don't have anything planned right now. November is the Stone Cat 50. And then early December is the Winter Classic, which is going to be a 40-miler, I believe. So, chock-a-block. And good news, I got a new job. It's underemployment I'm underemployed, let's just say, and it is a retail environment, outdoor organization. It's fun. It'll be funnish. I just started yesterday, so I'm going to go out there and do that some more today. That's where I got to go next. But anyway, good to see you, and I will talk to you later. Up here on top of Cannon Mountain now.